Please insert drink and hit play. Hey guys, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Blue Dismay. Today we are doing a fifth of Terminator Dark Fate. I have my two counterparts with me.
The Right Honorable Javier Ian Marcellus Ignatius II, Esquire.
Jimmy back from the dead.
Temporarily.
And Bruno Diaz.
Bruno Diaz joining us from the hillside of Chiclayo, Peru. Remote.
Yeah.
We're social distancing by one
I'm in the
continent.
farm.
So it was supposed to be an
Fire.
undisclosed location. Good job on blowing his cover. Now we got to move him next week.
That's him. We are still undisclosed.
I
Yeah,
know,
but
but
also that's my fake disclosed location to throw people off.
Yeah, that's his phony one. That's the one we air.
Yeah, that's my alias one.
All right, fellas, we're going to hit play on this Terminator Dark Fate trailer here in 3, 2, 1. And we're just going to talk through, I mean, we already did a shot of our initial reactions when this thing first came out.
Yeah.
And now we're just going to dive in a little deeper down the rabbit hole to see, did it make sense? Did it not? Was it chronologically, like, in sequence with T2, T1? What'd you guys think?
It's T2.
it wants to be T2 again.
Oh, this is T2? You mean this is just a really long extension of T2? Basically, right?
I like it as a sequel to T2, the one we never got. This one actually feels like a proper continuation of the themes.
It is a proper continuation.
Characters
Dude. It's
and
legit,
the
yeah.
actors and everything that is like it's an acceptable third one, more so than the actual Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines, which sucked.
Yeah, that one was horrible. That one was just god awful. I think the main kid actor, John Connor, was played by Nick Stahl? Maybe Nick Stahl?
Yeah.
Was it?
He was the guy, the yellow bastard in Sin City. But that was the other John Connor.
Oh, he was in Sin City?
And then we had Christian Bale, of course, which I thought would have been a great John Connor if he just put him in a better movie. Like, that would have been awesome.
Well, no. Oh, that's right, Christian Bale. Yeah, Terminator Salvation was cool. It had some cool scenes. But it was it was meant for a prequel, right? It was more of a prequel to the whole.
Yeah, I like that one. Like, it could have been way better, but I still like the parts of that one.
JVR,
them going in the past,
JVR
them going in the future and actually showing the future war and all that stuff like that. Like, that's a really good idea for a movie.
JVR is silently pondering here. What are you thinking about JVR?
Let me put it to you this way. I was thinking about this, and I enjoyed Dark Fate when it came out, but there's the thing. The more I thought about it, the less I enjoyed it. And it took me a while to figure out why.
Okay.
But then I thought, after thinking about it for a while, and almost dying of coronavirus.
Yeah.
And then coming back from the dead.
I
had to make a deal with certain unnamed persons to return for a few hours each week.
Death, the devil.
T-virus, what?
He who should not be named. Here's my problem, okay? There are two problems. The first problem is that it's a Terminator 3. And this is why. Because think back to the ending of the previous movies. The ending of the Terminator, there's a certain ominous, inevitable quality about it. She knows what's going to happen in the future, right?
Sarah Connor does.
Yes.
Yeah.
The ending
right.
is like she rides off in the Jeep. There's a storm coming. I know.
Yeah.
You got the picture and the dog and everything, right?
Dude, the German Shepherd.
Yeah. It all kind of makes sense, right? So there's a certain maybe there's a note there. It's like, the future's coming and it's going to suck.
There's a certain uncertainty about your life.
Right.
After the Terminator pays a visit.
Right.
Okay.
But there's also maybe the hint of an idea of hope because she knows what's coming now, right?
Yeah.
Instead of being totally unprepared, like presumably she would have been if the Terminator and Reese had not arrived.
Okay, so I get the
so there's that. Okay,
there's a nice, confident.
Not confident. I would say there's a glimmer of hope. There's a possibility of a silver lining.
Okay.
The second movie takes that and ramps it up. By the end of the second movie, the future is unwritten, as she says. The future, once so certain, now unrolls before me like a dark highway.
No fate.
Yeah, there's no fate what we make, right?
That's where Legion comes in. That's the new fate.
Right.
The new dark fate.
But that's the thing. Every single Terminator sequel since then just makes it seem like
the same thing.
Judgment Day is inevitable. Shit's going to get fucked. There is really no optimism possible in that scenario because the same shit's going to happen. Same shit, different day, every single time.
It's inevitable like the Matrix?
Yeah. Like the first one had the idea that you could maybe, if you know something's happening, you can work to stop it. The second one had the idea, well, maybe If we managed to stop it, then maybe something else will happen. The third one's like every single third movie, every single subsequent Terminator movie is like, nope, Judgment Day happened. Everything you did was for nothing, and shit's gonna happen anyway. Bad things are gonna happen.
Well, yeah.
The not just bad things. Let me phrase that better. The apocalypse is gonna happen.
Yeah. And
You know what I
it's
mean?
the same thing because they're like, oh, if it wasn't John Connor, because he's dead, then it's just going to be some other person that comes over and then restarts it and then sends people back in time to redo it or whatever.
And that brings me to a second problem with the movie. With actually every single Terminator sequel after Judgment Day.
What?
Is that every single sequel after Judgment Day does not know what to do with John Connor. Every single sequel.
Salvation did. It really should have just been
they
a
didn't
prequel,
because
and
instead of
been a build up to him
exactly
or him sending.
You're making my point
Kyle.
for me. They didn't know what to do with John Connor, so they did some other bullshit. They didn't know what to do with him.
They smoked his little ass.
They didn't know what to do in the Rise of the Machine, so they made him a junkie and had Jordana Brewster doing most of the work. Was it her or was it someone else? Whoever it was.
Wait, in which movie?
Yeah.
Rise of the Machines, whatever her name was, I forget.
It wasn't Jordana Brewster, was it?
No. It was
Catherine Brewster.
Catherine Brewster. Yeah, my bad.
Funky Brewster.
JK, whatever. Anyway, they had her doing like most of the heavy lifting. And time Salvation rolls around, he's like sort of incidental character. It's mostly about Kyle Reese, but it's actually mostly about this other guy, Cyborg, which sort of fits in, but doesn't really in the rest of the Terminator mythology. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then in this one, they just kill off entirely because they don't know what to do with them. None of them want to do with John Connor. None of them can present a future that like I explores the idea that they presented in the second one, and that the future is kind of uncertain now. Things could be different. How are they going to react to it?
This one does it the best. I think
it does it the worst. But it completely negates. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
I think this one's the best one of that because it is, and it's like almost not a remake. The same thing the way Terminator 2 is almost just a remake of Terminator 1, but it's better and then it just enhances everything. You know, the action, the effects and all that stuff. And it makes. I like T2 better than C1 just because of all of that. Like,
right.
I mean, like I love both of them.
John's over here making disagreement.
Yeah, I just enjoy watching Terminator 2 more, but I still love Terminator 1 to death.
A lot of people like T2 more than T1.
Yeah, but there's where I'm gonna have to disagree with you because
it is because it's just the same thing as the first movie, and I think that's why James Cameron has not come back to the series is because he did leave it as that is your fate is what you make or whatever. And this movie immediately undoes that in the very beginning of the movie where it's like, no, they sent a bunch of Terminators and like there's whatever, and if John Connor doesn't do it, then this other way he's gonna do it, and it's like. And the cycle keeps going. And they did do that in Genesis, right? Like the Genesis system is just another version of whatever. And
right. Genesis would be the new platform Skynet. And in this one, it's Legion. Legion is a new platform.
Legion, Rev 9 or something.
And they're always expanding upon the same themes of 2 or whatever that was James Cameron left them to expand on or whatever, or rehash. And
and
it's the same thing of the AI robots. Like they didn't say with Salvation. They're like, what do we do with the Terminator? Because in T2, he's learning, he's becoming human or whatever. And then in 3, he's even more of that. And then Salvation, it's literally they try to like change parts or some weird shit with John Connor or something, and like the AI doesn't know he's a Terminator and he thinks he's a human or something weird. And they did it in the other one, Genesis, which was with John Connor's now the bad guy. He's now a bad robot or whatever. It's like nanomachines or something like that.
Right.
Oh, that was in Genesis, right? Yeah.
Going back to my point, no one knows what to do with John Connor, and no one knows how to carry forth, like build on the second one. This is why I want to disagree with you because I agree that the second one
they're all expanding upon the same thing, and then this movie takes it all the way where it's like the AI literally becomes the good guy. He's like, "Sorry, I killed your boy. Let me warn you of all the Terminators that are coming from separate universes of like." Crossing over to this.
Yeah, but that's my problem with this because this movie is such a cheap shot. Let me explain why. I got an argument here. This is what the thing is. You're right that the second one was a lot of the same beats as the first, but that's why it was so successful because it took a lot of those beats of the first movie, but it expanded upon them, made them deeper, made them more emotionally resonant, and had bigger consequences. So it wasn't just a rehash. One is internally kind of more or less consistent. I mean, you can nitpick about certain things, but the point is that a lot of the same beats, but they serve different, deeper, more meaningful purposes. This one, you've got a lot of the same beats, and every other sequel, you've got a lot of the same beats, but they're just the beats to repeat the beats. it's kind of like the different. It's you know what these remind me of? It's starting to remind me of. It's weird to say it, but they're starting to remind me of the Star Wars sequels, where they're just like rehashing all the same shit because it's the same shit.
Never.
Yeah.
This
I know.
is not the Last Jedi.
It is though, because they're all just playing with the pieces that were left over for them in the universe that they have, and so they're all just like playing with whatever's left over instead of making new good pieces to play with or whatever.
Yeah,
Never.
So that's why the original creators are gone, and that's why the franchises are they got no focus.
right. No focus, no vision is the thing, and this is what I want to talk
But I
about.
like this one though. Compare this one to the other ones.
Dude, I really like Dark Fate. I think it's a solid flick.
Well, there's the thing.
It makes
That's
sense. Like, if John Connor wouldn't that happen, like, okay, and if another AI did control, okay, and then if it was, and then another person would come up as a resistance, okay. I don't really like the way they did it in this movie, but I understand what they were trying to like to say. You know, it's
no,
same,
I don't.
It is just the same thing over again. Like I totally like accept that.
And that's what I don't accept and what I can't, because they made it a point in the second one that maybe there's a change, maybe there's something else that can happen. There's a certain level of uncertainty. They moved this on. Let me speak here for a second. What happened was when they killed John Connor in this movie, they ripped the heart out of the second one and they removed any emotional investment for me in this movie. I didn't realize it at the time, but when Linda Hamilton says I am terminated, it's like my love for this franchise has been terminated, and I just realized why. It's because listen, here's the second one. There's development, right? The second one, it expands upon the universe, right? And you get this weird, like, philosophical development. I want to compare two scenes from Dark Fate and from Terminator 2, Judgment Day. They're based on two similar things. At 12 minutes in, they're trying to establish Danny's character, right? And she goes into the shop with her brother, and he says, "There's a new guy at my station because there's a machine there." And she gets all pissy and goes to talk to the boss, and that's kind of how they establish her character. Oh, she's the boss and she's bossy leader. She's shouty leader, right?
She's the one that can talk people out of shit.
Dude, she's just a regular Colombian chick. They will boss your ass into the ground.
Well, casual racism aside, the point being, we don't even get a resolution to that. We don't even get a resolution to that because the Terminator comes in and starts trying to kill them. What's his name?
I love that.
The Rev 9. The Rev 9.
And that's
is it Rev 9?
I think it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
That or the band, or it's just the one guy or the whole band. I don't know. Anyway, the point being, the closest parallel, like movie-wise in time, would be the part in Terminator 2 Judgment Day, where like he comes into the mall looking for them and they're being like little wanky kids at the arcade. But the thing is, in the question, they're trying to establish her character, right? And she's like, so she asks this question: what am I going to tell these guys out there that they're just keeping their seat warm for some machine? And that's about as deep as this movie gets philosophically, right? Okay, now I want to contrast this.
I mean, kind of.
Because that's one of the themes. They're trying to have some kind of theme or some subtext. It's like, oh, we're keeping the space warm for machines.
But that's like, I think that's like a simple jab, like.
Right, but no.
Trying to make.
Compare this now. Now, hear me out here. Listen now. Compare this to
all ears.
A very different scene, but also a very relevant scene in Terminator 2: Judgment Day. After they escape from the Pescadero mental institution, they run off with Linda Hamilton and the Terminator. Right? They got Sarah Connor. They got the T-800. They stop and get gas somewhere. Right? And they're watching, and there's just a slow scene where she's eating a cheeseburger. And then John's watching some kids play with like toy guns. They're like, bang, I shot you. And then he just sits there and looks. And then he asks T-800 a question. We're not going to make it our way. People, I mean. And then he responds, no, it's in your nature to destroy yourselves. And then, but while that's happening, she comes up and watches them interacting. Sarah Connor does. She's like watching while she's eating her cheeseburger. She's watching them. And that's like before one action sequence and before they get off to go to the border to get Enrique geared up at Enrique's and come back and blow up Skynet, whatever, right?
Okay.
But that has so much going on in that scene in Terminator 2 because, one, you look at it and you look at the interactions. It's like it's a breather between action sequences, fine. Two, it's a statement on the human condition, some philosophical, the philosophical underpinnings in the movie. And three, it establishes the character dynamic and the arc of between John Connor, the dynamic between Connor, T-800, and Sarah Connor.
I think that The movie took that. Dark Fate took that and ran with it all the way.
No, they didn't. They took it and dropped the ball on it, and then pretended they ran with it. They dropped the ball, ran to the end zone, picked up the ball, and spiked it because they didn't do shit with that. Listen, this is the point. They established a dynamic in the movie. They earn that tearful ending with T-800 sacrificing himself because they established. This is the first time in the movie. Anyway,
in T2. In
T2, they established where like he actually starts to see the T-800 as a father figure, and then later on, Sarah Connor muses about it. In an insane world, this is a perfect father figure because he won't get drunk and hit it, and he won't get tired and won't be blah blah blah.
Why not?
Yeah,
and then
he becomes Robo-Dad in this movie.
And at the very end of that T2, she's like, if a machine can learn the value of human life, then maybe we can too. So it's asking and raising that question in a dynamic where it's possible that maybe humans and machines can coexist. Maybe Judgment Day is not inevitable because of what she's seeing firsthand from a dedicated killing machine going to be something more. Also, just on a side note, James Cameron does seem to get a lot of mileage out of surrogate parent figures. He does this in Aliens and does it in Terminator 2. It's like an Alien is the Ripley Newt dynamic,
yeah,
and then in T2 it's the Connor T-800 dynamic. That's a side note.
Dude, maybe he never had a father.
Right.
He was abandoned.
But then they go do this. And then in this one, Dark Fate, they immediately, in the first like 5 minutes of it, immediately rip the heart out of the dynamic and make you question whether or not it was worth it. So it was like, well, nothing in the previous movies was worth it or meaningful or made any kind of difference at all. Then they go on to this and they go establish, and then we never get that same level of build-up or character development between Grace and what's her name?
Grace and Danny?
Danny, yeah.
Danny Ramos.
Yeah, she kind of just goes with her. She's like, okay.
And then we do get a couple of moments where they
well,
establish
when you have
her.
a Rev 9 trying to blow your brains out, you might also say okay, too, to follow like a robot person.
Yeah. This robo chick is saving me. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, why not, right?
Yeah. But that didn't stop John Connor from having an emotional heart and development in that movie, and that movie like really had a lot of heart behind it. This one, they want you to have that, but they don't earn it because they just sort of, one, they rip out the heart of the movie, and then two, they parade his corpse around you by making that point that yes, the killer machine does make an excellent father. She's actually confirming what Sarah Connor said in the second movie, but by rendering it kind of emotionless and meaningless because it doesn't really have any relation to them. Or their dynamic is just kind of there for like it's like a joke, you know. He's like, I do drapes. I'm an excellent listener. I'm Robo-Dad.
That was awesome. That was hilarious.
That is the funniest part of the movie.
That is
exactly, and that's the point. It shouldn't. It was really it could have been. It was set up to be a meaningful and deep question in the second movie. In the third one, it's just a fucking joke.
All right, guys,
and that's what really bugs me about that.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from with that.
And then,
but, I mean, I didn't really like that part either of this movie. Is the whole like he's just there, and then he went back into the water, and then he suddenly grew a conscience sometime and he lost. I mean, he like didn't have anywhere to go because that. I don't know, like
his mission was accomplished.
His mission was complete, and he can't self-terminate.
Because like, who canceled? If he killed John Connor, then who? Like, is Legion? How did Legion come into play if John Connor like was dead or whatever? So
that's a whole separate thing.
And then, like, I know it's like, and then he's like, oh, I came from that future. It didn't plan out or whatever. And it's like, but if Terminator did complete his mission, then how come there's Terminators? How come if there's no John Connor? How come the other Terminators are fine? Like, how come they're not fine?
Yeah, see, it's the whole thing. That's what bugs me about it. Because
what do you mean they're not fine? What do you mean?
It does the same thing.
In the beginning of the movie, the Terminator completes his mission of what he was supposed to do in Terminator 2.
Yeah.
So that means that why is the future different? It should have been the same.
Why didn't it go as planned?
Because they already destroyed Skynet at that point. That
was the whole point of killing John Connor, so Skynet stays alive and stays the same. But then for some reason, Skynet is dead.
Right.
Is it because that specific Terminator grew a conscience? And if it would make more sense if the Terminator 2 that actually bonded with John Connor grew a conscience, and that one was alive somehow, and then that one
he went into a lava pit
and then was like communicating with some weird, because he hears the ripples through time, it can give him the coordinates or where they're coming from or whatever. But like, it doesn't make any sense for the random Terminator to, he completed his mission, he goes back to sleep, and eventually they'll just come pick him up later because he completed his mission, he's waited out.
Right.
And then they'd be like, oh, here I am.
And debrief Skynet, so Skynet has it better.
I'm in rest mode, and then they come pick him up or whatever. So it doesn't. That's the part I don't get about the movie.
Right.
So I was just kind of rolling with it.
See, that's the thing. But every single Terminator sequel after Terminator 2 really kind of screws the pooch on the continuity of the future war and everything because they don't know what to do with it. They don't know where to go with it. Now, this is what I'm thinking. Yeah. It's like they had an alternate ending in Terminator 2, if you recall. The alternate ending where Sarah Connor's old and she's watching her son and granddaughter play on the park bench.
I think I saw that, yeah.
So it would have been interesting to me since none of them know what to do with John Connor, would it have been interesting to have like that kind of like thing where they have a grown-up John Connor who's not a resistance leader, but he's still maybe some kind of leader or fighter, and they're dealing with some other future threat, and you can throw in Terminators in there for reasons. I mean, that would have been interesting, to have this like whole like multi-generational dynamic, and instead it's got to be this pushy Mexican woman.
Yeah,
Colombian, you meanie. Oh, I guess she's Mexican in the
in film universe. She's Mexican
in the film. Okay. Okay.
When okay.
So you talk about connection between T2 in the T2 movie between what would be Robo-Dad and John Connor. There is a connection established here in Dark Fate between Dani Ramos and her longtime friend in a different period, who is Grace. And Grace, similar to how Kyle Reese came back and knew he was going to die for this cause, Grace also knew that she was going to die in saving her longtime friend. So I think that there was a connection. There was a very legitimate...
But my point is they never earn that payoff that they're trying to give us because I don't ever see the chemistry between them. It's like you see interactions with them, but I don't ever get that sense of like chemistry or build up or history.
I think because it's like what I liked about it was but what I think they're trying to go for is that part later when they reveal that she's the one that saved her or whatever. So they like,
but
me watching the movie again, like I understand, like that's why
I get it, but then
why she's like, oh, crazy about her saving her or whatever, and all stuff, and then like. And the looks that Sarah's giving her, like, she's like, what does this girl mean to her or whatever,
I thought they did a pretty good job of having a bond.
I don't disagree, because, like, watching it again, it's like they don't have the chemistry that, like, I've seen in the other movies. Like, watching Reese and Sarah Connor interact in the original Terminator, watching Edward Furlong go from, like, teasing the Terminator to giving him orders to respect him as a father figure to crying at his funeral. They, like, earned all those moments in that movie. And this one, it's like, they're just kind of there, and then she has to take care of her like drunken white girl superpowers.
We know the shtick.
That's exactly. We know the shtick, and they don't add anything to it.
The movie would have been 3 hours long if you wanted.
Look, how long was Dark Fate?
Nah,
I don't know. I can look up the runtime here. Give me a second.
I mean, Terminator 2 was like 2.5 hours long or something, right?
I think it is longer than 2 hours. Yeah.
This is actually 2 hours and 10 minutes, right? 2 hours and 9 minutes?
2 hours, 8 minutes is the runtime for Terminator Dark Fate.
Right.
Yeah.
And T2 Judgment Day runtime is, anyone?
It's got to be like 2 hours, 20 minutes.
2 hours, 36 minutes.
No
Which
way.
Is weird,
Is that the extended version?
No, the regular version.
What?
The extended version is longer, I think.
How long is it?
2 hours and 36 minutes.
Good Lord.
But
my God, no way.
But then it doesn't feel like 2 hours. It doesn't feel like 2.5 hours. Well, this feels like, Dark Fate kind of does feel like 2 hours. But Judgment Day doesn't feel like 2.5 hours. And that's I think, part of skillful movie making, I mean, everyone was firing on all cylinders.
Kind of just moving from set piece to set piece. So, like, all right, we're going to fight here, then we'll go fight here, and go fight here somehow, and whatever, and thing doesn't work, and we'll go do this instead.
Right. It's all, like, I guess, pun intended, mechanical. It's just... They're kind of going.
I do love the action in this movie, though.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it's not. That's the one thing that's like the redeeming feature of this film is like.
That's like a separate.
It's a separate thing. Critique, action-wise, choreography, the fighting is all top notch, but there's no emotional weight behind it because I feel 1, they ripped out the heart of it, and 2, they didn't bother to transplant the heart. In with the new characters.
This movie is a sequel to the Terminator 2, but they killed Terminator 2 in the beginning of this movie. So
right, Terminator 2 didn't occur.
Yeah, that's why it's really weird because this movie acts as if Terminator 2 did happen. Not really because Sarah Connor's around.
Well, just because okay, so they killed John Connor. That means that Skynet should have succeeded and that John Connor wouldn't be leading the human race towards fighting the machines in a future war. So then the question is, well, if they kill John Connor, then how the hell, what the hell happened to Skynet? Well, Skynet did occur, I think, just in a different format,
No,
a
no.
different
Later.
period
No,
through
they took out the
Legion.
building. Remember, they destroyed all the evidence, so they had to. Some other
No,
person
but
had to create.
right.
Would have to create something new.
There,
So that's
there was a
Legion
new
or
thing,
whatever.
right? The new platform, the new AI is
Right.
Legion. So
Right.
Yeah, it does make sense.
Right?
Actually, it does make sense. Yeah.
Yeah, they just delayed Skynet, and it ended up being Legion instead of
But
Skynet.
it is just a rehash of the other one. So
Yeah.
the same thing happens over again. So
Right.
it's like, oh,
But I was willing to
Whatever.
forgive the rehash in Terminator 2. Because they took all the beats and they amplified them. It's like having someone like cover a song, but then like adding their own spin on it. This one's like having someone badly remix a song. And again, it goes back to the Star Wars sequels.
like a good Van Halen cover.
Yeah, it's like the difference between a good cover and a bad remix, you know. And that's my chief concern with it. I mean,
This one was an okay remix for me.
yeah,
I liked
it's
it all right.
what does Immortal Joe say? Mediocre.
Just watching Terminator gun down John Connor was awesome.
dude, that sold me right there. I was like,
sold me.
yes.
I know.
It sold me in the moment, but then the more I thought about it, the more I realized, yep, they just killed their franchise.
Yeah, they did.
They ripped the heart out of it, and they never replaced
All I
it.
want to see is John Connor do the thing he's supposed to do, and then
Right.
Salvation almost showed it, but then they didn't.
Yep. And like I said, every single sequel ever since has never known what to do with John Connor. I don't
And
know
then
if
that would have been the nice wrap up, like third sequel, because it shows how he sends Kyle Reese, and then it loops back around to where T2 is open ended, because that's the future, that's the happy ending. But it just shows you how you got to Terminator 1. Like,
it doesn't even need to be a happy ending. It just needs to be an uncertain ending. The problem with all these is that the ending is always the same, even down to the ending of this one.
It would have been a prequel. Like, that's why you can't mess up. You can't mess up the future, because you're just showing how you got to the first two movies. And that would have been fun to have to see the future war, like how that happened, and then had Christian Bale like send Kyle Reese or whatever, young Kyle Reese to whatever, and then again sending the second one somehow, or whoever sent the second one or whatever. You know?
I don't know. I don't think that's enough to go on. I would have liked to have just seen them explore and expand upon the themes they raised in the second one, instead of just rehashing the second one just less well. The role between man and machine. What is the definition between a person and a machine? Are we inevitably going to destroy ourselves? A lot of these philosophical things that they gave you a glimmer of optimism with, that they immediately undid and destroyed, opening this movie. So it was like, and then they have the balls to like, oh, we're going to ride off in the Jeep to be prepared. And it's like, I don't care anymore, because you can do the same shit over again anyway.
Yeah, it's weird, because this movie, that's what I was going to say earlier, is just because she's like, oh, and then she's just rehashing, no, hey, but what you make, and then she's like, oh, I said what Sarah said at the table, like carving into the table, and then she's like, oh, I'm her now, and then it's like, and then they drive off into the end, and then she's like, you gotta be prepared. And it's like, why? I just saved everything. I just did it. And then they're like, oh, you got to be prepared for the sequels, man. It's like, the train ain't stopping.
Yeah.
It's like, we got to rehash it again in a couple years, man. Keep making that money.
And that's why I didn't like it. And then that's why I'm actually kind of semi-relieved this was a financial loss, so they won't be bothered to do it again.
And it is, they're very contradictory to themselves. It's like, no, say what you make. We did it. We changed it. And it's like, no, you didn't. It's like, she literally said it to her at the very end. Get prepared. Get in the car, you don't know what's coming. And it's like, well, probably the same fucking thing that happened in this movie, except, amped up a little more.
Yeah.
I think probably a majority of Terminator fans, the philosophical theories and questions don't even come to play in their heads. Like, they just like the flick for a lot of the action,
but
in general.
I think they do without even realizing it. And then they sort of realize that this was a cop-out, so they're like,
well, it's just weird, because like I think because they're so tired of it at this point. Like, I was even hesitant to go see this, but I mean, like, I was like, it looked cool. I was like, whatever. And the guy he did Deadpool, right? The director of Deadpool,
Tim Miller.
So that was good. I was like, okay. And then the trailer, a couple of the trailers are cool, and I like what's her name, Grace,
Mackenzie Davis,
actress.
Yeah.
And then, so I was like, all right, I'll go check this out. And then, I was surprised by the action. The acting is all right. I like Sarah Connor, at least. I mean, she's cool when she came back. That.
Yeah.
Least,
I mean, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of things I like about this movie. It's just the very premise that it's founded on just like rubs me the wrong way, to the point that it's like, I'm not going to buy in if you're going to just tell me I shouldn't like the old thing, or the other thing didn't matter when I had so much time invested on it. And then I really...
Things change, old timer.
That's fine.
I know you're 100 years old. things.
128. You guys missed my birthday while I was in quarantine.
Yes.
Anyway,
things
don't
change.
I'm fine with
The
things
same-
changing.
Things change.
The point of this-
timelines change.
The point of this is that
Futures
things don't
change.
change.
different ways.
But that's the point of these movies. Things
Same
don't
things happen.
change.
It can't
Just in different
always
ways.
be like, okay, it can't always stay true to the original. Look at John Wick.
No, that's a whole different question. I'm not saying that's the problem. It's trying to stay too true to the original to the point of like becoming a parody of itself. Same thing with Star Wars. It's like I would have been fine if they kind of moved forward instead of trying to actively burn down the old thing to the ground.
The main problem with Predator and Aliens and Terminator and Star Wars is that they can't go forward without the original like creators like being good at what when they like originally did. So it's like that's not going to happen again. It's like everybody's like pissed about it, so they're going to try.
You can't recreate a genius, or you can't recreate a masterpiece. There's only one Mona Lisa.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
A lot of copies though.
And
there's only one
they
original.
all have,
Right.
But I mean, Alien and Alien 2, Predator 2, Terminator 2, the first 3 Star Wars movies. It's like they all had their time. Like they're greatness. Well, that's what everybody's trying to tap into, and that's why the franchises are still around because they're so beloved, and that's why they're still kicking. It's because everybody wants to see them again, you know. But like, they got to figure out different ways to tell the same
but that's the
story
thing.
for a new audience. And instead of moving the stories forward, they are kind of just
rehash.
You know, tell the same shit over again for the new audience.
And that's the thing. They seem to don't understand what made the things worth watching in the first place. What the wow factor was, what the originality was, what the heart of it was.
Yeah, they relied too much on rehashing everything that they saw before it.
Oh, you like shiny metal? Here's more shiny metal. But that's the thing. Actually, I want to go into that because it seems to be like the fate of like 80s franchises. Is like they understood Let me just draw the comparison here. 3 franchises: Alien, Terminator, Predator. They all had an iconic, like cult classic original, right? You had Alien, which is just Ripley running around on the Nostromo trying to avoid getting killed by an alien. You had Predator, which is Arnold trying to survive in the jungle versus a predator, space alien. Then you had Terminator, which is Linda Hamilton and Michael Biehn trying to survive, not getting killed by a machine, right? By a Terminator machine.
Same thing.
But here's the thing: they all had successful sequels.
It's the exact same movie.
Yeah, but no, there's
sold in different awesome ways.
Yeah, but the thing is, they had interesting characters. They had groundbreaking effects for the time, and they had a real heart to them. They had like an understanding of what made a decent story. They had great characters with great arcs and memorable moments and scenes and quotables, right? And they all went on to have pretty solid sequels too. Like especially for Alien and Terminator, the sequels blew up and were massive successes because they expanded.
I love Predator 2, man. I love Predator 2.
Yeah, because they expanded upon. Let me fucking finish.
I just say I like it. I love Predator 2.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about that yet. I'm talking about the other 2, Terminator and Alien.
Aliens vs. Predator.
Where the sequels blew up and became massive franchises because they took a lot of what worked in the first one, expanded upon it, expanded on the universe, kept a lot of memorable characters and action going. And they did the same thing in Predator 2. It wasn't quite as successful, but I think it was a worthy and solid sequel and really understood the points of the first one enough to make a lot of certain similar points, but also expand the universe. So yeah, I agree with you. I love Predator 2 as well.
That's what I was saying. A shout out to Predator 2 because it gets a lot of flack. It's not as good as a good sequel or whatever. But I love it just as much as like.
No, it's a worthy
T2,
sequel.
T1, T2, and Alien 1, and Predator 2. Like those are all 10 out of 10.
But all these have a steep drop off in the third one because no one understood what made them great in the first place. They think it's just about the monster or the funny lines or the special effects or something. And
but they all had their original people working on them, like
which is what made
writers and directors.
But they seem to have forgotten.
Not well, not for Aliens, but you know.
Well, for Prometheus,
that's the Terminator, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's an amazing flick. I think the action was great. I think the storyline, while not maybe completely concrete, I think it's a pretty solid storyline. I think it's a viable storyline in that, yes, Skynet appears to not be present, even though they succeeded in their mission. But hey, guess what? Maybe Miles Dyson's cousin or some shit decided to make the platform for Legion. I mean, things do change. Things do evolve.
Sarah Connor's friend who like gave her the MPs. I was like, "Is that Dyson's son or something?"
Right.
How does she know this guy?
Yeah, it's like Miles Dyson's kid or some or cousin or some crap.
That's what they did in Genesis. It was Dyson's kid.
She knows favors too.
Right.
Or those favors too.
It's never good to see you, Connor.
Yeah.
Nice to see you too, jackass.
Yeah.
But like, no, I get it. So yes, there are some questionable, I guess, points within the plot. Hey, well, how the hell did Skynet not happen if they succeeded with killing John Connor? Again, like I said, things can evolve. Again, they didn't build a relationship, or to Javier's point, they didn't build a needed bond or gain that relationship
Dynamic.
element.
I think it could have been better, but
I think they got it. I think they
Yeah.
really got it. I think it was
I
pretty
think at the
evident.
end of the movie, you're like, oh, because they're that,
They're
I think
lifelong
that's
they're
what it
lifelong
was.
friends.
Like, at the end, that was the payoff.
Yeah, it's in the end toward the end they discover.
And they kind of danced around that or whatever.
Yeah, they tell you that they're
Like,
lifelong friends,
me
and she
seeing
knows.
it, watching it again, I can see how they're kind of dancing around it or whatever.
Right. I think it was pretty
Yeah.
solid. I know JVR does not agree with me.
I just wasn't seeing it there. I don't know. I don't know. There's this moment like in the original Terminator when Reese is like, "That's a pretty good field dressing." There's this moment in Terminator 2 where it's like, "I'm asking you a question." But I just don't get these moments. The closest they come is like when she's like, "Oh, I've seen that look on your face too many times." But that's such a generic throwaway line. It's not specific to anything. You know what I mean? It doesn't really establish their dynamic behind what we've already established. It's like, I don't know, and that's my main problem is like there's just, for a movie about machines, it does need a surprising amount of heart to make it work.
Johnny Walker.
I'm waiting for the Black Terminator, because we had the Russian lady in the Terminator 3, and then we had the Spanish one, and then we had that other, what was he, British or something? The guy that was in Salvation.
What's that guy's name? Yeah.
I forget. Avatar, and then
Sam Worthington.
Yeah, no. It wasn't Sam Worthington.
No,
Was it?
I don't know. The Salvation.
It was Sam something.
Yeah, it's so forgettable
Avatar.
though. Yeah.
Okay, and now they have the Mexican Terminator.
And then we had the Spanish. Now we got
Rev
the Spanish
9.
Mexican Terminator. So now we got to get a Black Terminator. Didn't they have an Asian Terminator? What was that one?
That was in Genesis, where he was
Genesis,
the T-1000.
Yeah, we had
They had
the
an Asian Terminator.
So now we got to get the Black Terminator going.
We need Terminator
And
X.
I vote for Idris Elba.
Chuck D.
Dude, Idris Elba will never play
Idris
Terminator.
Elba would be an awesome Terminator, dude. Just
Actually,
him
yeah.
walking around.
I have to agree
No
with you there.
talking, a little bit of dialogue. Just have him chasing you.
Okay,
around,
give me another
He could
Black
actually totally sell
Terminator.
that. He could totally sell
Who's
that.
another Black Terminator that would be viable?
Cheatwell Ejiofor? I can't pronounce his name. I'm sorry. No.
Well, no, he's too little. He's too little.
But
I'd
if they
say
made him more
Denzel,
like a...
but he's too old now.
Who?
Denzel's too old. Yeah.
Denzel, but he's too
Denzel
old.
would be the grandfather Terminator,
Wesley Snipes.
Yes, Blade. Yeah.
Wesley Snipes
Yeah.
would be a good Terminator, dude.
Wesley Snipes would do it.
Even now.
Complete
even
with
today.
sunglasses. Yeah.
Yes, Wesley Snipes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would even pick Wesley Snipes over Idris Elba, but yeah, for sure. Black Terminator,
Yeah.
Wesley Snipes. Got my vote.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. See, we are very
Anybody
diverse
else?
here during the podcast.
Yeah.
No,
That's it.
I'm saying
Just those
if
two
they're
guys.
gonna
Those two guys.
They're the one that's let's have all these different. You got to switch up the Terminator somehow, or whatever. So they might as well just keep going.
Yeah, actually, you know what? I think I would pay money to see Wesley Snipes chasing Chadwick Boseman.
Who?
Black Panther.
Black Panther.
No, Black Panther. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd just be funny to see Chadwick Boseman being chased around by Wesley Snipes. It'd be great. Be like, my comic book movie's better, bitch.
All right. So, John Daniels here, guys, from Cali, Colombia. I really like the flick. I know there's a lot of philosophicalistic theories or whatnot that are being questioned here, but I honestly don't even care. I don't give a rat's cahoot about it. I thought it was I thought it was pretty cool. I thought the storyline was believable. Yeah, like I said, there are some holes along the story from T2 to this one, but I thought it was believable. I thought that maybe something evolved, something changed. I thought that the bond between Danny Ramos and Grace was evident and established, although maybe not to Javier's expectation or standard comparing to the previous ones. No, I'm not even trying to be funny here. I'm like serious.
I know.
I'm just putting my point. And I think the action scenes were also very cool. I thought it was an enjoyable flick. I thought it was a really cool flick. I mean, I'm trying to think of like a cheesy ass part. Even when Arnold was making those Texas jokes and hey, I'm a funny guy, I truly laughed. I thought it was funny. I thought it was
laughing too.
I thought it was funny. I mean, I thought it,
Yeah,
He's
Schwarzenegger's
like,
kind of underrated. I mean, part of the reason the Terminator worked was because his range as an actor was limited at the time. But you can see clearly he's grown as an actor throughout his decades of movie experience. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, so it is neat to see that where he can carry off a deadpan machine, but then he also carries off.
And that's another thing. He plays it as if he's playing as if he is the Terminator from Terminator 2, and that's weird.
Right.
It's like he plays it as if he already went through that whole thing with Connor and Herman that, and like that's the way I was feeling. Like that.
That's what they wanted you to think, and that's why I felt it was unearned.
That's what they were trying to do, but they didn't do it in the beginning of the movie. That's pretty. Yeah.
That's my take. So Johnny Walker, we're on the 41-minute mark here. Any what's your take, man?
Yeah, man, I loved it, man. I didn't love it. The more I talk about it with you guys, I do kind of like figure out like, it doesn't really kind of line up perfectly, you know. And it is mostly just a rehash and everything, but I mean, so is the second one, and like I love that movie too. And like this one is more serviceable as a sequel to T2. As those other movies.
Oh, this one crushes any other movie. Outside of T2.
Terminator 1, I'm gonna watch Terminator 2, and then if you ask me what you want to watch, Terminator 3, you want to watch Salvation, you want to watch Genesis, you want to watch what was the other one?
Salvation, Genesis, T3, and Dark Fate.
Yeah, T3 was Rise of the Machines.
I guess this is it. So this one, I would watch this one, and then I would watch Salvation, and then I would watch T3, and then I would watch Genesis last.
Jesus.
That's my order. But I love the action in this movie. The acting's good. I love the actors. Arnold's definitely I did feel like he was playing it as like a sequel to T2, which was fine by me because he's the Terminator again, and Sarah Connor's there again. Like, what else is he supposed to do?
It's the role he was born to play.
Right.
Yeah. And then Mackenzie Davis, she's great, you know, the Black Mirror and then Blade Runner, and she's kicking ass. Love her.
Wait, she's in the new Blade Runner?
Movie.
Yeah.
No way.
She's a small role in that movie. And then the Mexican girl, Danny, you know,
Natalia Reyes from Colombia.
Yeah, I felt like she was almost too short to be like believable because like at the end. They're all like, I mean, she did whip their asses, and you know, it doesn't matter, sizes matter, and all that stuff. But like, I was like, she's like this little girl, like reading this whole group.
Well, remember, Sarah Connor was a little girl too.
Well, but I mean, in this one, because like I think they could have made it seem like she was maybe maybe look a little older in that scene when she was like saving the young.
That was back in the time, though. That was like back in a way back way. That was supposed to be like in a previous time when they were all young.
The future previous time.
Yeah, the future younger time.
No, that's her in the future because she goes on to lead the resistance later on.
Right. Because that was her like stepping up or whatever. Her like, you know, growing.
I know, but I'm saying her because Danny, she goes to visit the young girl at the end of the movie, and she's a little girl.
Right.
So like, and then that implies that she's older by the time the war is going on. What's her name and her character? So they are alive in the same time period. So if you look at how the girl is compared to how Mackenzie Davis is now, I feel like they could have made her look a little older, like a little bit older.
Not like 4 years old?
Put some dirt on her and then they put her on the set or
Yeah.
And I was like, she's supposed to be like 20 years later or whatever, you know, in the future war, future Legion war.
At least a decade older or something, right?
That's my little critiques, you know. I'm
just, yeah.
I was like, why does she just look the same?
Right.
It's supposed to be some crazy future.
It's because Hollywood worships youth.
That's funny.
Yeah. Well, actually, no, she was a young girl when she saved her. So it was around the same time period.
That's what I was thinking. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, no, she is the time. Yeah, she is the right. So it's like 10 years. It's like 5 years later from now or something, or from where they are now. So that's not that far apart. So I guess I'm wrong. But yeah, I just felt like it was supposed to be a lot later.
All right, guys, we're at the 45-minute mark here. Any closing remarks, objections?
Yeah, I just want to say, to sum up this way, like I will agree with you guys. It was good action. It was fun to see them. Like everyone did a good job in this movie. It's just that it's a shame they didn't have a better movie to work with. And that's my main problem with this is that it's supposed to be, the movie is supposed to be like, a framework for the action, and then it kind of fails philosophically in my mind on that point. The character
Socrates over here is not content.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know.
Socrates.
I've been spoiled by a really high standard, and
Socrates.
Then we get this, and it's like, yeah, come on. Don't it's you need the foreplay to get the payoff. That's all I'm saying.
Says who?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Socrates is not impressed. Johnny Walker.
Socrates.
Yes.
All right. Awesome. I love it. Yeah. No, I'll give this movie. Yeah. I mean, I agree with Javier. I mean, totally. Like, I understand where he's coming from, but yeah, there's a lot of problems with this movie, but I still like it. Like, yeah, at this point,
I'm a huge fan, dude. I'm a big fan.
Like, I love Terminator. Exactly. Like, I'm a huge fan. Like, at this point in these movies' history, like, and it sucks that this one didn't do well in the theaters because, like, the fans, they smelt it too coming. They're like, all right, whatever. They're tired of it being bad, so they're like, they're not even gonna give this one a chance, which sucks because I wish this one came out first, like, compared to the other ones. Like, I wish they did this kind of like, even if it is a just a sort of rehash or whatever, I wish they did this.
Yeah, if this had come out before Genesis, I think you'd see a very different reception.
A huge hit, dude. Huge hit. Well,
very different reception.
Dude, this one should have come out before the second one.
But compare this, like Javier, compare this to Genesis.
Well, it's not even a comparison. Genesis was a half-baked mess.
I know, dude.
Like, this is more like
dude, you want to talk about philosophically? Try critique Genesis, dude. Your brain would melt.
Yeah,
I know.
There's a divide by zero error.
Remember the teaser at the end of Genesis? Is that Legion?
Oh my god, that was horrible. No, that was Skynet, dude. That was Skynet. Oh my god.
Yeah.
No, remember the teaser at the end?
It was horrible. I didn't show it. I didn't see it until you showed me, unfortunately, and then I questioned my life at that point.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
So there is that. Yeah.
I like this movie, man. I would.
It's
pop this in after T2, and I would be. I'd have a good time.
It's definitely the best Terminator 3. Unfortunately, the bar there is just really low.
Yeah, I mean, when the bar is so low, it's not you're not reaching for much. So yeah.
Any final ratings? If you had to rate it out of 10, Johnny Walker?
Yeah, I'll give it an 8. I'll give it an 8. I was gonna go higher, but. Yeah, I'll give it an 8.
Socrates.
Because like a Terminator T2 is like a 10, and then or at least a 9.5, and then like T1 is like a 9 or 9.5, and then this one's this one's got to be like an 8 or 9. So this is like an 8.
This one for sure. I agree with you.
Did I rate this last time?
Yeah.
I'm trying to recall.
You didn't. You always reserve your right to reserve your right.
Right.
To reserve your right.
I'm gonna have to get it closer.
No, man, you reserved your right last time. You were like, oh, I have to wait.
I know you.
Right.
I have to wait 1 year.
Yeah.
The Blu-ray. We all watched the Blu-ray, remember? And then the Blu-ray just made.
Yeah.
And then we all are watching this movie, and you reserved your right last time. I don't think you get to reserve your right.
No, that's true. Now I'm thinking about it.
Come on, Socrates.
After all the stuff you said, you still can't say
I
it.
know, dude.
Well, I'm just going to say, you're just not going to like it. It's going to be closer to a 7.5 than anything. And like I said,
blasphemy.
Because of those issues I raised.
I almost fainted.
Yes. I almost fainted in my Italian leather shoes.
Yeah, someone give her a fan.
Yeah.
All right, so what
touch of the vapors there.
So what did you rate it, JVR? What was it?
7.5
out of 10. Okay.
Yeah,
that's a pretty fair. But based on your comments, based on your comments, that's a pretty fair. That's a pretty decent.
Good. I almost gave it a 7.5.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been higher if it had just had not had those like terrible problems at the foundations. And that's the problem.
The glaring oversights that every Terminator sequel seems to
endemic,
not
endemic to Terminators, just glaring oversight of the sequels and foundations upon which you build.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, we will have to say this, that the action was top notch. I enjoyed watching them all do their thing. Yeah. I enjoy the fight scenes. I enjoyed Mackenzie Davis fucking shit up than being a drunk white girl. As she crashed after her exertions.
Yeah, another thing. I was like, she's like falling around too much. I was like, come on, get up,
dude. She's still human.
I know you're gonna get up and go. Yeah. Just go.
She's still human.
But like I said, like the underpinnings and the commentary and the question about what it means to be a human or a machine wasn't quite there in here, and that's why it lowers the rating. I mean, that's why I want to just make that clear. I don't fault any of the actors for doing their thing because they all did a wonderful job, right? I'm not to fault the screenwriter and the director for not carrying through on this excellent promise, but it is kind of hard to fill Cameron's shoes when he was at his peak.
Yeah, dude, that's a tall order.
That's a tall ask, yeah.
Okay, guys. All right, so you gave it a 7.5 JVR / Socrates. Johnny Walker, you said 8.5.
Yeah, 8.5.
Okay, John Daniels here, everyone. John Daniels from Cali, Columbia. John Daniels. I am a huge Terminator fan. I believe I rated T2. I believe I gave it. I probably gave it a 9 out of 10. Pretty sure. Anyway, I really enjoyed this flick, and I'm gonna give this one for sure a 9 out of 10. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
9 out of 10 for sure.
The same as T2? No way.
Really, you don't think so?
I just explained why I didn't think so.
All right, hold on. Let me check one thing real quick.
Oh yeah, what did I give it? If you're gonna look up the thing, what did
I am. Give me 2 seconds. You guys talk about something for like
Yeah.
1 minute, and let me check the
All right,
previous
so
ratings.
Another part I liked about the movie was when they're like that, when they're giving her the X-ray, and then they're like, "How is she even alive with all this junk in her?" And then she like comes in, she's like, "I didn't tell you could peek or something like that."
Who said you could look at my private parts?
Yeah, my private parts or something like that. Yeah, and then I love one of my favorite parts in any movie of any science fiction is when the people from the past get to witness the technology in the future, and they're like, "What the fuck is going on?" And then they get to know, and like I feel like that's a bunch of like side stories, and like they're gonna be freaked out, and like the lady that got punched out in the computer. She's like, she got to see the X-ray and saw all that cybernetic junk in her. And
that's also the premise of
T2. They did the
T2.
autopsy and all that
Hey,
stuff.
Private Parts, I'm looking at our historical ratings, and I think T2 was so damn long. Our review was like 2.5 hours that I didn't capture the ratings that we gave T2. I'm sure they were up there, like crazy high scores.
Oh, yeah. On the docket?
It's not. I have my tracker here. I don't have it listed.
I'm just gonna say, Terminator 2 hit you like a phase plasma rifle in the 40-watt range.
Okay. I'm not saying it's better than T2. I'm saying that it is just as entertaining. I think it's. I'm not saying it's better, but I'm gonna give Terminator Dark Fate again. Maybe I'm slightly biased because I am a Terminator fan. And when Arnold Schwarzenegger passes on to the next life, a part of me will pass on to the next life. So, because of that, I give Terminator Dark Fate 9 out of 10. Everyone's got to see it at least once, especially if you're a Terminator fan and an Arnold fan. So, yes, 9 out of 10. I stand firm by that decision. And if I had to rate T2 right now, I'd also give it a 9 out of 10. So, there you go.
I give T2 a 10 out of 10, and then I give this an 8.5.
Yeah, that's solid.
If T2 is a 10 out of 10, then this is an 8.5.
Yeah.
But if I did give T2 something else, I don't remember. It would have been like a 9 or higher, I would assume.
Right. Well, yeah, for me, just for shits and giggles, it would be Terminator, the first one, T1. Even though no one calls it T1, it's just Terminator. I'd give that 10 out of 10, flat. For me, T2.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Go in your watch order. How would you?
Okay, so if I had to watch them, if I was on death row and they said, "Hey, you can watch the Terminator franchise, but you have to pick the sequence," I'd say, "Okay, first, Terminator, the first one, the original. Yep, I definitely pick that one over T2. So I'd pick Terminator, then I'd pick T2, Judgment Day, then Terminator Dark Fate, then Terminator Salvation." Then Terminator Genesis, and finally Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines. That's my watch order. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's my watch order.
Okay.
So mine's exactly the same, because I said it earlier, but mine's exactly the same, except switch Genesis and 3 at the end there.
Oh, you would watch the first one over the second one? You'd pick the first one?
I watched Rise of the Machines over Genesis.
No. You'd watch the original Terminator over Terminator 2 if you were on death row?
Yeah.
Yeah, same here.
I'd go T2, I guess. In the order I watched them. Well, if I'm going in the order I watched them.
Yeah, in the order.
And that I would watch them in what you said, T1, T2, Dark Fate, and whatever.
Salvation,
But in terms of like my favorite order, I would go T2, T1, and then so on.
Oh, so you would start off with T2, Judgment Day, and then T1, and then Dark Fate.
Yeah. But in terms of like marathon watching order, then I would watch it the same as you.
JVR, any specific order, JVR, that you would watch?
Well, it's all
it in?
circumstantial. Like, given my preference, my absolute favorite is Terminator 2 Judgment Day. However, if I was in death row, I'd be like, okay, let me watch Terminator. Let me watch Terminator 2.
Wait, what's your favorite?
His is T2 Judgment Day. JVR's.
Yeah, T2. Yeah, okay, yeah.
But if I was on death row, given that hypothetical situation, I would be like, okay, let me watch Terminator. Let me watch Terminator 2. Let me watch Dark Fate, and then you can kill me.
Kill me before I watch. Just cut my life short another 14 hours. Just I don't even want to watch the rest.
I don't need to bother with the rest.
Send me straight to the chair.
The lined up for you. It's like no.
Nah.
I don't want to spoil it. No.
I saw Dark Fate. I'm ready. You can
send me straight to the chair.
I saw Dark Fate. Now it's time to meet my Dark Fate.
That's kind of funny.
Yeah, that makes sense totally.
It's pretty funny. Okay,
well,
guys.
Death Row is different. I'm just gonna watch them. I'm not on Death Row.
You know, I made the mistake of buying. I think I was bored off my ass one day, and I bought Genesis on Amazon Prime. So I actually have that in my library.
You know, I wouldn't mint that in public if I were you.
Right. Yes, I will stop. I will stop doing that. I will stop announcing that.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we're at the 56-minute mark. Any final thoughts before we close up here?
Fuck you, asshole.
What was that?
Wasn't that from the first one? Fuck you, asshole.
Oh, yeah. Fuck you, asshole. Hey, buddy, you got a dead cat in there?
This franchise is terminated, fucker.
No, it's not. Don't say that. Phase plasma
he'll be
rifle
back.
in a 40-watt
He's gonna be
range.
back.
Hey, just what you see, pal.
Yeah. No fate but what you make.
No fate.
That's the line I always say. I mean,
fate.
Even still, like, even though these movies won't commit to the goddamn message, or the major message, no fate but what you make. You know, I'll commit to that.
Yeah. Okay, guys.
If anything, that would be the cap on the end of the franchise, where actually they do win the war, and then we don't have AI machines running the future, and it's not some crazy thing where futures or robots are sent back to the future to kill people. Like, that's when the no fate but what you make.
Wouldn't it be hilarious if we avoid the machine apocalypse, only to be laid low by a plague?
Instead of saying Finn, it says that. What, Jimmy? What, Javier?
I said, wouldn't it be hilarious if we avoid the machine apocalypse, only to be laid low by a respiratory infection?
Dude, the Simpsons predicted it. They did. Okay, guys, I think we're done dilly-dallying over here. This is 58 minutes, and okay, I think that's it. So, everyone, thanks so much for listening in. Thanks so much for, I guess, joining us on our Terminator ramblings. But I guess until the next one, right? I mean, the next one, whenever that one comes out, we'll be sure to do a shot of, a fifth of, and then probably a full movie review, but give that a couple years, right?
If there's any we missed in the franchise, we'll get them all at some point.
Right.
Like Pokemon.
All right, guys. Thanks so much, and we'll catch you next time. Take it easy and be safe out there. See ya.